Perfect.
Welcome to Content Cleric. The purpose of this channel is to shine a light on well-known and some not so well-known games that have faded into obscurity due to decisions made by developers, fan reception, or something in between, but deserved a better fate. These videos will emphasize 3 major points: a brief history of the games, provide a summary of what happened or what caused them to lose popularity, and finally, my own personal opinions along with the opinions of the games community that I've found online on how the next game could be successful should it return. Today we're taking a look at DeadRising, a franchise with a cult following that debuted on Xbox 360 and rose to popularity only to fall from grace in recent years. DeadRising is a beloved franchise created by Capcom, marketed as an open-world, zombie-slaying sandbox RPG. Spanning across 4 main titles and 3 side stories, there's a lot to love about the series. Though often overshadowed by its older sister franchise, Resident Evil, it is still Capcom's 6th best-selling franchise. The games utilize the Prestige Point System, or PP for short, an experience mechanic tied to feats that the main character achieves. Used to acquire higher base stats and new abilities, PP adds a feeling of progression to an otherwise linear story.
Uh-oh. Oh yeah! You're dead now! Here comes the boss! You're dead!
If zombies were the only threat facing the player, gameplay would quickly become stale. However, with the addition of psychopaths, the boss mechanic of the game, which are tougher human enemies with their own unique mechanics, combat that utilizes distinct weapons that can be acquired after they are defeated, and memorable boss arenas, the difficulty, especially in early entries, is very prevalent. The gruesome deaths that come along with defeating psychopaths help to remind the player of the gravity of the situation they have found themselves in, adding horrific and jarring elements to the gameplay experience.
Well, thanks for your help. The name's Brad.
Friendly NPCs function in a variety of ways, sometimes automatically assigned to your party, added via mission, or even found while exploring. The player is tasked with protecting the survivor on their case mission, or more often, escorting them to the safe room to wait with other survivors until help arrives. An underappreciated perk of the franchise is the attention to detail. Hardcore fans will be able to notice all of the time and effort put into the assets of the game, but the average player may not see the love and care that was taken to ensure that many different types of products for sale in DeadRising were grounded in reality. Whether it be items on a shelf or advertisements around the playable space, intentional placement of individual designs were used to create immersive and distinct environments. With a variety of tools and weapons that can be used to kill hordes of zombies, a plethora of outfit options to look good doing so, and NPCs thrown in, the player is left with an experience of fun and fear. DeadRising, released in 2006, opens with a tutorial on the series' unique mechanic, the photo system. A helicopter ride over Willamette, Colorado provides Frank West with an opening set piece of the zombie outbreak and a chance to take photos from a distance. The photo system gives experience, and the notebook system tracks survivors Frank comes in contact with by giving insight on whether the survivor is located, safe, dead, undead, or lost. During the next hour, the main plot of DeadRising is revealed, in which the player-controlled character, Frank West, a freelance photographer who has previously covered wars, must survive 72 hours in the Willamette Parkview Mall while gathering a newsworthy scoop. Survival consists of collecting food and weaponry around the mall, including vertical platforming to find hidden weapons, and navigating throughout the campaign while being pursued or ambushed by psychopaths. Throughout the mall, there are stores that have books that may be collected. Placing them in the inventory grants the player passives such as construction items gaining increased durability, or even learning a new skateboard trick. Multiple books may be held at once with life bonuses stacking. The main game features 6 endings, with the post-game 7th ending that is unlocked if all prerequisites are met. If the A ending is achieved, an epilogue, referred to as overtime mode, becomes available. The completion of overtime mode with the S ending unlocks a final mode called Infinity Mode, which is an unfettered sandbox experience free from limitations that sees Frank roaming the mall endlessly until his untimely death due to zombies, psychopaths, regular survivors, or time itself. In this mode, Frank loses health over time and must move throughout the mall, finding NPCs to provide him with recovery items because unlike the campaign, recovery is finite and all survivors are hostile. In the base campaign, Otis, a mall security guard, is an NPC tasked with transmitting important information via transceiver to Frank West. It is imperative that the player answers these calls, as the missions are time sensitive, and more importantly, Otis will get upset if the call is missed. Speaking of which, the player must listen through the entire call in order to receive a new mission or mission update. With 20 main missions and 37 scoops, which are optional side missions, the player is left with ample content to enjoy in subsequent playthroughs. The next phase of the DeadRising franchise saw 1 main entry and 3 side stories, all of which have co-op multiplayer. Released in 2010, DeadRising 2 Case Zero is a side story, tech demo, and prologue to DeadRising 2. Based in Still Creek, Nevada, introducing a new protagonist, Chuck Green, motocross champion, and his zombie-infected daughter Katie, this game establishes the new system mechanic, Zombrex, a temporary drug that halts the zombification process in humans if taken within a narrow window of time prior to full infection.
Anyone discovered to be infected but not yet turned will be quarantined and reportedly given medical attention.
Players immediately notice the absence of the camera mechanic from the first game, but are met with the addition of the combo weapon system, which involves mixing 2 different items to create a new weapon that is not only stronger than the original components, but when upgraded from a scratch card to a combo card, also gains a new function and rewards the player with additional experience. Gameplay revolves around traversing the small town and unlocking various locked doors while finding a new supply of Zombrex for Katie. Chuck and Katie's next stop is Fortune City, Nevada, the main setting of DeadRising 2 and where the Terror is Reality competition is held that sees contestants overcome various obstacles revolving around the undead. The prize for this competition is a large sum of money, which Chuck is desperate to win.
He risked it all, and now he's taking home the big money.
During his time in the Terror is Reality competition, he is framed for a zombie outbreak that happens in Fortune City. Outside of the campaign, Terror is Reality is a PvP-only competition that can be used to acquire money to purchase items, and more importantly, Zombrex, in the game's new monetary system. Throughout Fortune City, there are merchants that will sell you combo weapons, regular weapons, and even the keys to a brand new car. Vertical platforming returns in DeadRising 2 with the added benefit of finding special outfits, combo ingredients, and even more unique items. The combo card system that was introduced in Case Zero is a major focus in this game, with a total of 50 different combo weapons to make. With a revamped transceiver system, the player no longer has to listen to the entire call to receive a mission, but it is instead added to the mission log immediately upon answer. With 14 main missions and 36 side missions, along with the Terror's reality mode, DeadRising 2 has plenty of content to get through. The penultimate release in the second phase of DeadRising is DeadRising 2 Case West, released in 2010, functioning as a side story and epilogue to DeadRising 2. The pleasant return of the first installment's protagonist-turned-AI companion, Frank West, accompanies Chuck Green as they make their way to the Phenotrans facility, a pharmaceutical factory that manufactures and distributes Zombrex, in order to retrieve evidence to clear Chuck's name.
Phenotrans set me up.
You know, they're vigilantes out for your head. You're commanding a nice bounty.
Is that why you came? Huh?
Additional combo weapons and outfit options are also present, with a new unique ability to change a follower's clothing, along with new vehicles and the return of the camera mechanic from DeadRising. Case West is a short, story-focused extension to DeadRising 2 that unites the two previous protagonists in a very organic and fun way. DeadRising 2 Off the Record returns to Fortune City as a non-canonical reimagining of the original DeadRising 2, with Frank West as the protagonist. Photo mode returns yet again in single-player and co-op, and a new Infinity-inspired game mode is added called Sandbox mode, which allows up to 2 players free reign through Fortune City with additional missions to complete. An entirely new area was added, Uranus Zone, a theme park-inspired plaza with new combo weapons, outfits, and a bank which you utilize after finding keys. These keys open up security boxes that are filled with money or special items. Chuck Green returns, but in a bizarre twist, he's instead a psychopath that is encountered as a boss battle. Oddly enough, in co-op, Chuck Green is played by the non-host player.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that, Frank.
Released at launch for the Xbox One, DeadRising 3 saw a new direction for the franchise. The game was entirely open world, based in Los Perdidos, California, and starred another new protagonist, Nick Ramos, a mechanic from Rancherama with the innate ability to combo weapons and vehicles on the fly. Dealing with being bitten and uncovering secrets from his past, Nick, along with a few other survivors, fight through the city attempting to find a way out before it is bombed in 6 days. Contrary to other games, DeadRising 3 placed a large emphasis on exploration of the map to find collectibles and horde spawning with thousands of zombies regularly on screen. To assist in the higher amounts of trekking and combat, developers added a multitude of weapons, and the new combo vehicles. While traversing the streets, players will stumble upon random survivors, which when helped, provides the player with a PP boost. Combat in DeadRising 3 feels a lot more fluid, and with the addition of the finisher mechanic, most weapons in the game have their own unique zombie execution animation. Unlike previous games, DeadRising 3 gave players the ability to spawn vehicles and weapons from an in-game inventory system. An entirely new, skill point-based class tree system was introduced to add depth and player choice. In a new and ambitious move, Capcom utilized Smart Glass, a companion app launched during the Xbox One generation that helped players locate hidden items and give gameplay hints. This game also featured Xbox Connect support, which added the ability to interact with zombies depending on their proximity to the player, and menu navigation using voice command.
Commander, this is Phoenix. Come in. Do you read?
DeadRising 3 was the first game to offer episodic DLC content featuring additional survivors in the alternative mode, Untold Stories. Untold Stories follows 4 unique survivors, showing events which are not featured in the base campaign, but are integral to the overall main plot of DeadRising 3. The first episode, Operation Broken Eagle, follows Adam Kane, a Special Forces commander. Adam is determined to complete his mission, securing the president, while simultaneously executing any and all illegals, which are infected survivors that do not comply with government rules, and also survivors that may be in his way. The second episode, Fallen Angel, follows Angel Quijano, an illegal who is being targeted by the military. Angel is a survivor that is attempting to keep others safe by seeking out supplies in safe locations, but is met with the looming fate that is a military attack.
Move, Angel! Move!
The next episode, Chaos Rising, follows Hunter Thibodeau, a second-in-command biker gang leader. With his eyes honed in on getting payback on the man that framed him and caused his incarceration, Hunter uses any means necessary to take his rightful throne at the top of the gang.
Ain't the boss anymore. Something else. I am.
In the final episode, The Last Agent follows Brad Park, a ZDC agent with a malfunctioning Zomberg's chip. Brad, along with the help of others, including Adam Kane, must find out how and why the chips have been tampered with.
What happened? I started to turn, Cora. My chip must be broken.
And finally, the addition of a new game mode, aptly named Super Ultra DeadRising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha, which is an arcade-style, 4-player, online co-op experience. With a more relaxed time constraint, DeadRising 3 spans over 7 chapters, a returning overtime mode, and 30 side missions, with the ability to change difficulty for an additional challenge. And the final entry in the series, as of this recording, is DeadRising 4, released in 2016. The story features an older Frank West, voiced by a different voice actor, who has switched professions and is now a college professor. He is convinced by a student to help investigate a military compound, but while infiltrating the compound, Frank is identified and must go into hiding.
Knows the truth. Well, up on it. Thank you.
Sometime later, living under the alias of Hank East, Frank is met by the returning ZDC agent, Brad Park. With the promise of exclusive rights to the scoop and a cleared name, Brad persuades Frank to go to the Willamette Memorial Complex to investigate a new outbreak.
Breaks this. They're in for some big gains. Maybe even win back something.
Nah.
The game follows Frank as he deep dives into the happenings of the outbreak and pursues his once promising career. The new investigative mechanics added in DeadRising 4 canvas gruesome scenes using Frank's special camera lenses. Frank is equipped with 3 camera modes: Normal, Night Vision, and Spectrum Analyzer. Each of these are used in their own ways to complete investigations or collect mission objectives.
Well, looky here.
DeadRising 4 made an additional attempt to reinvigorate the franchise by removing psychopaths altogether in the hopes of creating a more fun, seamless experience that was easier for most players. While combat is consistent and more prevalent in DeadRising 4 than other entries in the series, the zombie volume is scaled down, but the zombies are a lot more impactful, reminiscent of entries prior to DeadRising 3. With the addition of a new variant of zombies, the Fresh Zombies, identifiable by their red glowing eyes, improved speed, and heightened aggression, a horde consisting of fresh zombies has the ability to overtake a player rather quickly. This entry included single and multiplayer, however, it did not have co-op story mode or a timer system. The skill tree returns from DeadRising 3 in a more simplistic, user-friendly form. Post-launch, they added Capcom Heroes, an alternative way of playing where players take control of Frank West in costumes inspired by Capcom characters throughout the years, and use them to interestingly fend off hordes, and Super Ultra DeadRising 4 Mini Golf, as well as new difficulty options for the campaign. The downfall of the DeadRising franchise has been apparent since DeadRising 3 was released. Community support has waned over the years, and the game has yet to be optimized for next-gen consoles, even in 2023. DeadRising and DeadRising 3 look almost unrecognizable when compared. Straying too far from the root of the franchise was a dangerous move that caused players to feel alienated in an experience that was completely new to them in what was supposed to be a sequel to a franchise they once enjoyed. Doing research into the most popular entries in the series around the internet, the website GameFAQs showed the first DeadRising as the best, followed by the second. Reddit appeared to have been tied between DeadRising and DeadRising 2 Off the Record, and CulturedVultures.com was most closely aligned to my personal opinion, which is that DeadRising 2 Off the Record is the quintessential DeadRising experience, with DeadRising 4 coming in last place. The original Frank West voice actor, TJ Rotolo, who was used in a different Capcom project, Resident Evil 2 Remake in 2019, playing William Birkin, did not reprise his role in Dead Rising 4. This decision was met with confusion and overall uneasiness. This further lends itself to the idea that moving away from the series' humble beginnings was a death sentence to the franchise. Case Zero, Case West, and Dead Rising 3 never saw performance optimization, making it almost unbearable to revisit the games in the present day. You could make the argument that Capcom knew the games they were most proud of in the series by re-releasing Dead Rising 2, and Dead Rising 2 off the record in a collection with optimized performance and visuals. It is actually quite astonishing how much better off the record looks in comparison to Dead Rising 3. Not to pour salt on the wound or echo an opinion that has been said 1,000 times, but the closure of Capcom Vancouver was directly linked to the apparent failure that was Dead Rising 4. Capcom Vancouver, previously known as Blue Castle Games, the developer of The Bigs 2, and MLB front office manager, was acquired by Capcom after their role in the development of Dead Rising 2, Case West, and Case Zero. The new name, Capcom Vancouver, was adopted at the time of acquisition and would be used in the development of Dead Rising 2 off the record, Dead Rising 3, and Dead Rising 4. The end of this studio came in September of 2018, and with that announcement came the unfortunate termination of development on any type of Dead Rising 5 project. It has been 4 years since then, and there has been zero indication of a new installment to the series. In this section of the video, I'd like to go in depth about how I believe it would be best for the franchise to return. First off, the most obvious and the most important step to take would be to find out what fans truly want. Analyzing what made Dead Rising such a hit, researching what made Dead Rising 4 such a flop, and understanding what kept people coming back to the game are all equally important in the development of a fresh addition to the franchise. Dead Rising 4's DLC season and post-game content seemed like they were trying to play catch-up with an unfinished game. With the removal of co-op campaign and psychopaths, they basically took away camaraderie and any semblance of a challenge in the game. The timer system, which was in place since the beginning, provided players with an agonizing restraint that left them feeling accomplished when they were able to complete their goals within a time limit. Though new engines and next-gen capabilities allow for much more to be on the screen at one time, the instability in performance is not worth the sacrifice. With the overwhelming amount of hits Capcom has had in a row in recent years, including Resident Evil Village, Monster Hunter Rise, and my personal favorite, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, the best course of action will be the development of the next game to happen in-house at Capcom Japan. A return to form that sees 1 to 2 players in a world is your oyster sandbox environment, with challenging mini-bosses and plenty of fun items and weaponry to annihilate the undead, while sporting a sexy banana hammock shouldn't be too much to ask for. To Capcom, if you ever see this, you have fans that still have hope for an installment to a franchise with a rich background and plenty of potential.